Hi everyone, Adam Smith here with a junior update. I trust everyone's keeping well during this time. Certainly from a committee perspective, it's been an extremely busy time over the last week or two as we hopefully get closer to easing of restrictions that will allow us to commence training again and also start playing. I think just this week I've had 3 online meetings in the last 4 nights to cover different topics and ensure that we're going to move forward and be COVID compliant once we're able to get back out there. So we're very hopeful for a positive announcement from the government this Sunday that might see easing of restrictions that would allow cricket training to commence hopefully late next week. Worst case scenario is that training would start the week after on the 1st of November, but we're having a junior information session next Wednesday, the 28th of October at 7:30 p.m. The Zoom details will be sent out via social media and email. I highly recommend that everyone attends that so they can get a really good understanding about what the upcoming season looks like, what the new COVID protocols look like, and what we're doing to keep our participants safe, and also really give everyone a bit of a sense for what cricket season looks like in season 2021, because it's going to be so much different to any cricket season that you've ever experienced before. So a couple of things that I wanted to cover off. Firstly, training is going to look very, very different to what it's looked before. We actually have to allocate each of our junior players into an allocated training group. So we cannot just say that under 12s are training at this time on this night. We actually have to allocate each individual child to an allocated training group because in the initial easing of restrictions, we're restricted to group sizes that are equivalent to a cricket team. So 11 or 12 in a cricket team, we cannot train in groups any larger than that. So that means that you cannot just rock up on any night of the week and expect that you can train. You can only train in your allocated time slot. So we'll certainly be providing those details. We're working really hard as a committee to compile all of that information and make sure that everyone's got the information that they need. But again, the junior information session next week will help out with some of that detail, and we'll certainly be providing more detail as we go. What it also means this season is that we need to have COVID-safe officers. COVID-safe officers' roles will be to make sure that when people rock up to training and games, that they're checking in and they're checking out. That's for contact tracing purposes. So there'll be a QR code. Every player will need to scan that with their mobile phone. So parents, you will need to scan your children in. You will need to ensure that your child has been scanned in and scanned out, and the COVID-safe officer there will be there to help with that sort of thing. We need to stop training every 40 minutes for sanitisation breaks or hygiene breaks. We need to stop games every 10 overs for hygiene breaks. Anyone not participating in the game must be wearing a face mask. Children over 12 years old, if they're not batting and they're on the sidelines, must wear a face mask. So this is going to be a very, very different view to what we've seen before. It's important that your child has either pre-registered or registered, because the list of names that we're going with is only those people that are on those lists. Those that have pre-registered that haven't registered yet, we need you guys to complete your registrations as soon as possible. If you're not registered by the time the season starts, you will not be selected in a team. We're not going to be picking the final teams for the juniors until a couple of days out from the season. Unfortunately, due to the COVID situation, we have to allow things to be really fluid this year, and we're going to have to almost roll with the punches and do things as we go. But we're going to need a lot of help from you guys as parents to be able to ensure that we get this season up and running and that we can run a season successfully. There is a lot more other COVID protocols. I think I'll save that for the information session next week. Rest assured, parents, if you have any concerns around the safety of your children and so forth in participating, that the protocols are very, very significant and go a long way to, I think, hopefully making you feel comfortable around your child's participation in cricket this year. There's a lot that hasn't been seen on a cricket field before. Things like umpires have to wear face masks as well. Umpires are not going to be allowed to touch equipment from the children. That's going to have to be put on the sidelines. We have to give the scorers, as they're scoring, plenty of room, and they're not allowed to get within 1.5 metres. And obviously cricket is a naturally socially distant sport that is not contact, so it actually allows us to do that. But things like sharing gear, which has been done in the past, that's going to be a no-no. And if there's any gear that's going to be shared, it all needs to be sanitised before it's shared. So there's a fair bit to take in, and I welcome questions from you guys at the information session next week, so that you guys feel comfortable, but you also get an understanding of what cricket might look like this year. As far as the fixture goes, I had a meeting last night with the junior section of the Northwest. They're still planning at this stage that we'll have an 11-round season made up of all one-day games. Those games will start on the weekend at this stage of the 13th and 14th of November. So that means that our children are only going to get a maximum of 2 training sessions in before the first game. So it's a very, very short pre-season this year. The plan is to play right up until Christmas, and then we'll have the usual break over Christmas in January and commence when school commences back for 2021. So you sort of get a bit of a flavour for what the season looks like. Generally, we'd play 14 or 15 games. This year, we're playing 11, all one-day games. And essentially, when you go to games, it's going to be, make sure you come to the game dressed. You're not going to be able to use change room facilities. As soon as the game's finished, you must leave the ground straight away. So it's going to be very, very different to what we've seen before. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a flavour for where things are at. It's going to be a very busy time over the next couple of weeks. We're not going to do final selections for the junior teams until a couple of days out from the season, but we will be sending out allocated training groups for each of the kids to be part of, and they'll have coaches there and so forth who'll be able to help guide them through training and what that's going to look like over the first couple of weeks. But yeah, we're going to need so much more help than we've ever needed before, and we're going to need to have you on board and supporting the new processes that we have in place. It's the only way that we're going to be allowed to play cricket in this coming year. So just in regards to registrations, if you haven't done your registration yet, please, I implore you to get that done as soon as we can. That really helps us with our planning. I know there's a lot of pre-registered that haven't registered yet. But if you're not registered, when we go to pick the teams, your child will not be selected. Simple as that. And just like if your child has not already registered or pre-registered, they won't be part of an allocated training group, and we're not going to be able to allow them to train. So it's pretty important that if you haven't done those things, that you get onto those things pretty quickly, so that we can plan properly for the upcoming season and ensure that we're as ready to go as we can be. But yeah, it's just going to be a very different season. One thing I will say is we've had a really large response this year, and I think the fact that football didn't play this year, a lot of people are wanting to take up cricket. So we've had a bit of an influx, which is going to mean that it's really going to stretch us as far as grounds go and ground availability. So I can already say up front that we're maybe not always going to be able to play at our home ground for our home games in some sections of the juniors. So it means that we have to go and use overflow grounds, but that's just because of the sheer numbers that we've got from what we've seen through pre-registrations and registrations thus far. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for your time. Thanks for watching. I hope that gives you a bit of a flavour for what the season looks like. We'll certainly provide more information at the junior information session next week. If you don't get the information relating to that, please send me an email and I'll be able to send you that detail. And please, everyone, stay safe. Hopefully not much longer to go. We can see each other in person, but you know, we can't get everyone together as a junior club this season, unfortunately, and we can't get big groups together. So this sort of feedback and the junior information sessions is really the only way that we're going to be able to communicate successfully back to you guys. Anyway, look after yourselves. Hopefully we get an easing of restrictions this week and we can have some more positive news by the middle of next week that we can be in a position to start training really soon. Anyway, take care, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.